Good evening all, and welcome to this October meeting of the Barossa Assessment Panel. Take the opportunity to welcome members and staff and those who have joined us here and online. Now, I will start just by introducing the members of the panel to you online first. Thank you for making that effort. We have Rachel Nucky and Sarah Elding and Graham Burns here in the room with me. My name is Jeff Parsons. I'm the presiding member. And we also have an apology from Councillor Jane Evans, which we'll make sure is noted in the minutes, and we're assisted by members of Council's administration with us today. We have Aaron, our Assessment Manager, Jake, the Director of Development and Environmental Services, and Chris, who's assisting us with governance and minutes. So good evening to you. We'll just move through the administrative items of our agenda, and then we will get to our items for consideration. So the first item is the confirmation of the minutes. Last meeting was held on the 2nd of September. All members have received a copy of those minutes. Any questions in relation to the minutes? No? Looking for someone to move they be adopted, please. Move Graham, thank you. Sarah seconded Sarah, thank you. It's carried. Oh, sorry, I should say all those in favour, please raise your hand, and then we'll go to carried. Thank you. All right. Is there any business? Oh, sorry, we've done that. Business arising from the minutes. So, is there any declaration of interest by any member of the panel? No. No. Okay. Now, the first item that we had on our agenda was a planning decision, but the representative for the applicant is just in transit at the moment and due to join us shortly. So, members, with your support, what I might do is move through the agenda to part 9, which are the two items around the meeting procedures and appointment of a deputy member, if members are happy to do that. I'm not seeing any objections, so perhaps we'll move to the operating procedures first. Now, Aaron, is there anything you'd care to take us through just as an introduction?
Yeah, thanks through the presiding member. Yeah, so this is really off the back of the previous discussion report that we presented to you earlier in the year, and it was really that report was to, I guess, present some ideas of how the operating procedures may be amended to, I guess, generally improve its function. I think the general observation has been that the operating procedures are fit for purpose and they're working well, but through good practice, it's always good to be reviewing that they are working as best as possible, and that where there's opportunity to improve them, that be taken into consideration and that they be updated regularly. So I guess through the feedback that we received in that discussion, we've now presented back this report for your endorsement of the amended operating procedures. And so they're briefly summarised in terms of the extent of changes, and in the attachment you'll see the actual markup with the extent of changes. So really it's presented to you for endorsement, but if there is any other feedback or amendments, happy to take any feedback. And then I guess the following report is to essentially adopt a deputy presiding member, because through the experience of working with these operating procedures is that there's generally it's generally desired to have a deputy there, because if things arise prior to the meeting, it's often unclear then who we actually seek to direct any, for example, questions that need to be, I guess, dealt with in the event that occurs to the appropriate presiding member, because obviously if the presiding member's an apology and that's known in advance, then it's just seamless to have a deputy stand in. So, and that's the subsequent report that you will decide upon. Happy to take any questions.
Sure. Thanks, Aaron. Do you have any questions, members? Yes, Graham.
Well, no, none from me. I think what you just summarised, Aaron, makes perfect sense, and in fact the amendments that are highlighted in the procedures as per the previous discussion. So with what's presented, I think I made the comment in the last meeting too that I support what's being proposed.
thank you. And I'm seeing similar nods, I think, from Rachel and Sarah. So I don't think there are any further questions for you, Aaron. So we do have a recommendation the report be received. Does that need to be expanded upon in any way, just to note that the meeting procedures actually be sort of formally adopted?
I think you're right. The recommendation actually needs to be that the amended operating procedures need to be endorsed. It needs to be a mover and a seconder there. So I agree that if we can amend the wording, not sure if we need to have something up on the screen, Chris, or whether we can just have words to the effect that the amended operating procedures are essentially approved, or are approved basically. And then they will be, I believe they need to be signed, and then they will obviously be updated at our end and in terms of also on the website, and we can make available the final copy to all members.
I think members would be, well, I'm kind of speaking on your behalf now, members, but let me know if you have any objections. I think I think it's fine for the administration to just update that wording just to reflect that the meeting procedures be adopted. So do I have someone prepared to move that way, please? Moved Rachel, thank you, and Sarah, you're seconding, thank you. Rachel moved and Sarah seconded. Yep. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, members. All right, and that takes us to the second item, which Aaron has already spoken to us about. This is the appointment of a deputy presiding member, which would be for the entirety of the remainder of the term, up until the 31st of December 2026. So is someone prepared to maybe nominate either themselves or someone else? Rachel?
I nominate Graham. The reason I'm not nominating myself is because I can't always be there. Because from time to time, and I don't want to put that pressure on the panel or myself. I'm not really fussed, either Sarah or Graham, but I just thought Graham's probably a sure thing.
Did I hear correctly?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I saw Sarah shaking her head, I think saying she didn't wish to nominate. I'm taking it that way, and Graham, I assume you'd be happy to accept.
Thank you for nominating me.
Sorry, Graham, I didn't mean to.
No, thank you, Rachel, for nominating me. Yeah, and I'm happy to accept.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we can, perhaps if the administration's okay with this, I think we can put Graham's name in the recommendation there, and I'll look for someone to move that Graham be appointed as the deputy presiding member. Rachel, you're moving, and Sarah, you're seconding again. Thank you. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. So congratulations, Graham. You'll be in the seat next month. So thank you. All right, members. Now, I don't think we've had the representative for the applicant arrive yet, but we can still move back to our assessment item for consideration if you're happy to do so, Aaron. So this is an application to vary a previous consent, previous approval, specifically relating to operating hours. Welcome, Nick. Your timing is very good. We're just getting to this item, so happy if you want to take a seat at the table just in case there are questions for you. So I was just in the middle of introducing it. So as I said, this is a variation application to increase the operating hours for the facility located in the recreation zone and rural zone, the Barossa Park rooms. Now, there were no representatives for this item. Do you want to take us through an introduction to it, please, Aaron, and then I'll see if there are any questions.
Yeah, thanks. So this application the original application was for Barossa Park. It was presented to the panel at a special meeting, and it was approved by the panel, and essentially the facility has been constructed. So it's obviously a substantial development, and it's been well documented in the media in terms of the facility. It's been a great success, and obviously has hosted Gather Round as well. So when the application was approved, there were hours attached to the development approval, and they were identified and presented in the documentation, and they were as outlined in the report. Since the occupation of the facility has commenced, there has been an expression of interest from some of the occupants, principally the main stakeholder being Barossa District's Football and Netball Club, that they would like, I guess, greater capacity to use the facility for an extended period of hours in the evening. Now, in the original application, there was a QC report that was provided that demonstrated that the facility could operate for longer hours than was ultimately approved. But I guess at the time there was very much focus on getting approval for the facility and not necessarily seeking too extensive hours, and that could there was always a thought that could be extended later, obviously subject to appropriate approval processes. So this application is essentially now to provide for a limited extension of operating hours in the evening, and as I mentioned, it's set out in the report, the nature of the operating hours. We've done, in terms of the report, there's an extensive report that's obviously been done by our independent consultant planner, and that has, the process that's been followed involves essentially an amendment to the previous condition of the development approval. So there was no public notification applicable, and we agreed with Master Plan in terms of their assessment of the process. Because there's only a variation to the condition, it's not strictly development, but through established court judgments, that there's a well understanding that this has to go through an approval, but no public notice. The original application, there was no representations that raised any concerns in relation to the operating hours, and since the application has been approved and the facility established, there hasn't been any negative feedback around the intensity or use of the site. So there's been no evidence to suggest that the current operations at the site are problematic. This, we think, extension of the hours as articulated in the report, we think is appropriate. I guess there has been a careful consideration and some discussion with Master Plan and also the key user group, being the Barossa District's Football Netball Club, around, I guess, balancing those hours and in particular facilitating clean-up and closure that needs to happen post exit by patrons. So the report has tried to strike that balance, and we think is an appropriate outcome. It also reflects, I guess, increased intensity on the weekends, so predominantly Friday and Saturday nights, with a more limited extended period of hours during the week. Sundays, there's no change to the operating hours. The other element of this approval is that it does make more explicit the approved hours for the amplified music. So there is also proposed a separate condition in relation to that, but essentially they don't change. So the only change is relating to Sunday operations, which under the current acoustic report, there was essentially the assumptions that fed into the acoustic report was that amplified noise shall finish at 5 p.m. Our thought was that was overly restrictive in that that was essentially what they were told in terms of that was required. We think on a Sunday afternoon or evening that there is potential for more opportunity for amplified music, noting that would still be required to comply with the EPA noise policy. And Nick has confirmed with the acoustic consultant this afternoon that the operation can still comply with the noise policy. So presented for you for your consideration, and then Nick's also happy to take any questions as representative for council in this matter.
No, thanks, Aaron, for that comprehensive overview, and yeah, thank you, Nick, for making the journey up and for being with us. Members, do you have any questions you'd like to pose to the applicant's representative? Yeah, Graham.
Just for the record, my question's been answered by Aaron. My only concern was that the report was silent with respect to any complaints that had been received in the time that this facility's been operating. I've been out there on the way up here, so I've had a good look around there today, and I note that the building, in fact, is benched into the site, so it sits very low on the site. It doesn't, therefore you wouldn't expect noise to carry, and most of the noise is going to carry in the other way, that is over the oval and eastwards, if you like, or away from the residential area. But as you said, Nick, and I'm glad you made those comments, you've received no complaints. I assume, whatever the complaints, no noise-related complaints in the time that this has been operating. So I was pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Yes, Rachel.
Hi. Look, yes, I concur. My main question was answered. Thank you, Aaron, because I had queries with respect to complaints-based matters. So thanks for confirming there was nothing. My other question was, just more broadly, can this council facility, obviously through lease agreements, be let out for other types of functions? You know how sometimes clubs might let it out to people to have like a 21st or parties and stuff like that? Like, does that apply to this facility, or is it strictly for club use?
Do you want to? Sorry, Nick, I'll get you to press the button on the microphone.
That better?
Yes, yeah.
My understanding is that it's there's some flexibility in the types of events, but it's generally club adjacent events that it's available for use at. So there might be private functions for members of one of the clubs or one of the leaseholders, but it's not a facility that's typically available for hire for anyone to use. I'm happy to be corrected if there's any disagreements, but that's my understanding.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. I mean, not that it's a huge drama, but I just wanted to understand, I guess, whether or not it could, because it just means like it could be used a whole lot more than what it might be. But I think, that's pretty easily managed through lease arrangements anyway, if it's not managed through a development application. So that's everything I kind of had questions for.
Yeah, I think further to Nick's comment is that there are lease arrangements in place with each of the key user groups. So, and there are terms within those lease arrangements that do govern the extent of use of the premises, and that relates to patron behaviour, noise, a whole series of conditions. I guess another point to make is that, and this has come up with a number of these facilities that council, own, is that ultimately these are club rooms. They're not function venues. So implicit in the approval is the fact that the primary purpose of the use of these facilities is for club rooms for the clubs and their members. There will obviously be incidental gatherings and events and the like, but that shouldn't be the primary purpose of the use of the facility. So there's always opportunity to review that as well, that if it's not working as intended, that I guess there will be discussions that would need to be had to address any concerns that arise from that. And I guess another point that we have made in this report is that because of the council-owned facility, council has a high level of control over the way it's managed and also the effects that arise from the use of the facility.
Thank you. Further questions? Yeah.
In fact, my question is in relation to the points raised by Nick, Rachel, and then by Aaron. Is it the case, and I'll be raising this because one of the conditions I've suggested a minor amendment to, and in doing that I've went back to the plans of the approved plans, and it describes this part of the building, the club building, as club rooms stroke event space. And in fact, I was going to be suggesting the inclusion of those words in that condition because it's the condition is silent with respect to the. It just talks about all doors must be, and I was thinking all doors of what? Hence, I went back to the plans and so forth. But I note from what you just said, Aaron, that what has been approved is a part of the building has been approved as club rooms stroke event space. So it does raise perhaps the possibility, if nothing more, that this space could be used for events that may not have a connection to the basketball or the cricket or the football clubs types of functions that might be conducted there. It's a very minor point, but I just think there needs to be a little bit of clarification in the condition. I fully accept that the council is the owner of this building, so ultimately there is a greater level of control over how the space within the building and in the pavilion space around the building is used. So, but I just think there needs to be some minor clarification through condition 5 as to which space we're talking about.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, are you aware what their liquor licensing conditions are? If these times that they've proposed in this amendment is consistent with those of their liquor licence?
I'm not aware of the liquor licensing conditions, but I would expect them to be consistent with the conditions of consent.
Yep.
I understand that there may be a liquor licence application relating to the pavilion that's incoming, and that
Yep.
will also need to comply with those existing conditions around hours and these new conditions on amplified music use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think further to that, the current liquor licence has to be in accordance with the current development approval. From memory, I think there is already a liquor licence in place in relation to the Barossa District's Football Netball Club. The cricket club, Lindot Cricket Club, have also expressed a desire to have a liquor licence in place in relation to the viewing pavilion. But again, the club's desire to, I guess, extend or have in place liquor licences has to be in alignment with these operating hours, because essentially they won't get approval otherwise. Yeah. In relation to the condition 5, happy to amend the wording there. The acoustic report spells out in detail the expectations around the doors being shut, and essentially it's to the club rooms. My understanding is the viewing pavilion was never set up to accommodate for amplified music, because it wasn't designed in the same way from an acoustic point of view. So condition 5 was really there to deal with the main club rooms. I think in terms of the wording, I can't recall in the original approval what the wording was of the description of the development, but I guess our view has always been that this was essentially it's a facility there it's a recreation facility. It's there for the club. It might be referred loosely to an event space, but it's and clearly it hosts events, but it's not a genuine function centre as such.
Yes, Rachel.
Just further to what Aaron was saying, would it maybe help, and I mean, I know in that condition it says background music be played at all times within the function areas. Could we maybe just say something like not including the pavilion area, like just to be doubly sure that there's not going to be any amplified music out there? Do you know what I mean? Like I know to us it's straightforward, but to another person reading it, maybe we just have to spell it out.
It probably raises the point that condition 4 currently specifies the inclusion of the viewing pavilion in relation to the amplified music times.
So it is included. Okay, so it is included. So
I think through the chair, because I know there was late in the piece, there was some discussion internally about this. I think that should actually have deleted essentially that part of condition 4, because my understanding is that the viewing pavilion was never set up for that purpose.
and also for me, a viewing pavilion is open. I take it, and what we're saying is the doors have to remain closed for amplified music after 10 p.m. for the function areas, but then you could have it playing out in the pavilion if the pavilion's open. So to me, I don't know, like I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but I just kind of thought there was a bit of an anomaly there.
Okay, members. So we will come to the merits shortly. So, but just to provide some clarity, I'm happy for the administration or Nick to correct me if I'm wrong, we should be looking at, in terms of condition 4, essentially deleting the words in the brackets. So just to say including the viewing pavilion would be deleted. And then, or maybe change to say excluding the pavilion. And then condition 5 should reference the club rooms / event space as identified by Graham earlier. So might need some clarification from Nick and Aaron just around condition 4 and potentially whether it's deletion or alternate wording for the pavilion element. Do we have any other questions just before I get to the merits? Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to say, through the presiding member, that I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think it clarifies too. It's a potential area of grey, I think, with the words including the viewing pavilion left in there. If that's not there, it's very clear where the amplified music may be played. And I say that because on my view of the site today, the viewing pavilion wraps around almost on the northern side, back towards the old railway line and then the residential area behind. So it's a fairly large area, but if it's excluded from being used for amplified music, not for going outside and using that as an event space, I think it's clear, makes the whole thing clearer and easier to enforce.
Also, through the chair, I have found the floor plan that is what Graham and the other members referred to earlier. So that's the reference there, if you can see on the screen. It refers to club room / event space. So I think the consistent using of that terminology in condition 5 makes sense.
Okay, that's good. I think we have some clarity around that. If there are no more questions, then the merits members, do you have views on this particular item? Yeah, Graham, happy. Yep.
Again, I'm largely now repeating myself, but having been out there today and seeing the facility now as a completed development, frankly, it's very impressive what's been achieved in such a short space of time. So it looks good. I didn't walk inside the building; the doors were locked, I think. But walking around the club rooms building and other parts of the development, it's, as I said, very impressive. So. No qualms at all in supporting the recommendation for the extended hours being, or amended hours being amended. I think it's common sense with the amendments that we will get to in a moment.
Excellent. Thank you. Rachel?
Yes, look, I share similar views. I think it's a relatively straightforward application. I'm satisfied that there's no change to the amplification of music and the times that can occur. I think it makes it fairly straightforward. I do agree with the patron departure kind of being 1 hour before it actually closes to allow for cleanup. I think that's a really good solution. And I think for a facility that's kind of a state-wide facility, I think it would be silly not to kind of endorse and use a facility such as this to its full potential. So with those adjustments to the conditions as we've kind of worked through, I'm supportive of the application.
No, thank you. Sarah, you have anything? No, all good. And look, very similar views, members. I think the clarification around the amplified music was good from Aaron earlier, just providing a bit of detail around that Sunday night element. But I was satisfied with the information we had before us that this wasn't going to cause any noise impacts beyond or outside of what the policy allows for. And I don't think there's any other impacts on the surrounding area that would be negative. So it sounds as if we are all in agreement. Now we do have the amended conditions just on the screen in front of us. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, Rachel. Sorry. Yeah, sure. Aaron can talk to that.
Yeah, through the chair. So I'll talk to her. Sorry, you won't be able to see on the screen, Rachel, but I can briefly explain the extent of the changes so you're fully aware of that. So what I've got on the screen is that there's a change to condition 4, essentially to delete the words in brackets, including the viewing pavilion. And then condition 5 the following words would be inserted. So after all doors, it would say of the club rooms / event space. And then in the second sentence, after the words within the function areas, it would say insert the words of the club rooms / event space. And that would be the extent of the changes proposed in the amended resolution.
Can I just ask for condition 4, you said the playing of amplified music in the club rooms, shouldn't you also have / event space there as well for
Yeah, good,
consistency?
good point. Thank you.
That's all right.
A very good
Other than
pickup
that,
considering you can't see it. So yeah, that was good.
Attention to detail.
That's it. No, thank you for that. All right, members. Before we get to a decision around that, we do have two earlier recommendations. So the first recommendation is that the proposal is not seriously at variance. Do we have someone prepared to move? Graham, thank you. And a seconder. Seconder, Rachel, thank you. Not quite quick enough, Sarah. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's carried unanimously. Recommendation 2 around the proposal not undermining the character values of the district. Is someone prepared to move in that way? Move, Sarah. Thank you. Very quick. Is there a seconder? Seconder, Graham. Thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That's unanimous. And then we have recommendation 3 with those amended conditions as we've discussed. Someone prepared to move?
Just before we do, could I just, and it's a very minor point, but it shows that I have read the agenda, if nothing else. Advisory note number 2, there's a grammatical there in the second line. It says, and I won't read the whole of the sentence, or subject to an extensive having been granted. I think that should be extension, Aaron? Yeah. So with that minor amendment, I'm happy to move in accordance with the what's been now put before us on the screen by way of the amended conditions of consent.
Excellent. Thanks, Graham. I'll take you as the mover. Is there a seconder? Seconded, Rachel. Thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And that's carried unanimously. So for the benefit of those who have joined us, the application's been granted. Planning consent and development approval, no doubt, as building consent won't be required. So thank you very much for your attendance. We really appreciate
Thank you. I'll let the applicant know. They'll be thrilled.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Nick. All right, members, just returning to the remainder of our agenda. There are no reviews of assessment manager decisions. Is there any other business from any member of the panel? Yes, Sarah.
This is more in lines of just obviously gearing up for Christmas, meeting in January. Understanding that you guys are probably down for closure through that Christmas time, I just would like to know when a decision will be made, whether or not there will be a January meeting. I'm assuming not.
So, yeah, usually if there is a need for a January meeting, it's held much later in the month. So usually I believe we would be bringing to you probably in the next month or maybe, so it might be November, a meeting schedule for 2026. So you would actually have some input into that meeting schedule. In the past, I reckon it has been the 3rd week of January, I reckon. So there wouldn't be a meeting in the first week of January, which I think would clearly benefit everyone because and the public because generally, a lot of the businesses are closed. So, yeah, likely to be 3rd week, but we will come back to you with a report on that.
Thank you. Any other business? Is there any other business from the administration, Aaron?
None that I can think of. At this stage, I'm not clear about whether there would be a meeting for the next month. So, but I have noted that you'll be an apology. So, and with Graham being appointed as a deputy presiding member, he would step in. So I guess we will let you know, hopefully shortly, if there will be a meeting.
Right, thank you. All right, there are no confidential items. The next meeting, if we require one, will be on the 4th of November. So I'm happy to declare the meeting closed at 5:34 p.m. Thank you, members, for your attendance and deliberation on those items, and thank you to the staff for all your assistance. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.